Representatives has made another push for more illegal anti-Iran sanctions. The House has passed a bill targeting Iran's oil exports. The architects of the bill say it would cut Iran's oil exports by 1 million barrels per day over a year. The measure has yet to be approved in the Senate and signed by President Barack Obama to become law. Washington's previous measures against Iran's oil sector have sent up global crude prices. The U.S. has imposed several rounds of illegal sanctions on Iran. Washington claims they are aimed at pressuring Tehran to abandon its nuclear energy program. America and some of its allies accuse Iran of seeking nuclear weapons, but Tehran denies the accusation, saying it needs nuclear energy to generate electricity for its growing population. To discuss that a bit further, we're now joined by Dr. Webster Tarpley, who is an author and historian, who's joining us now live on the line from Washington. Dr. Tarpley, thanks a lot for joining us now. I want to get your reaction to these latest sanctions.
Well, this is a gesture of impotence and rage, I guess, by the U.S. House of Representatives. I'm afraid these members of Congress don't realize that the world has changed and that it is simply no longer in their power to do things like decree that an independent country like Iran is going to have its oil exports cut by 1 million barrels a day. The world equation of forces has changed. Just one example. Today, we have news of an accord between Iran and Syria, which involves about $3.6 billion worth of oil that Iran will deliver to Syria in exchange for economic development and I'm sure other exports in the future. Well, that's 36 million barrels of oil if it's $100 a barrel, which is about where it is now. So with those sorts of deals and arrangements with other countries, I don't think that the United States has the ability to do this anymore. Naturally, they can do mischief. They can cause useless suffering. But let me just say a word about this Congress, to put it perhaps in perspective. These congressmen are about to leave town here in Washington, right? They can't wait to get out of town. I wish they'd gone earlier. They're going to leave on Friday. And as they leave, here's what we find. This is the most hated Congress in the history of the United States. Their approval rate is 10%. Cockroaches and traffic jams are more popular among Americans than these members of Congress. 90% of the American people disapprove of them. As a matter of fact, this Congress is the most hated institution in the United States since the Gallup poll began this kind of polling around 1973. So they're the most hated in 40 years, and even to make that even worse, so far they are on track to be the least productive Congress in terms of legislation. They can't fund the government. They can't deal with the public debt. They can't bring about an economic recovery, but they can make these idiotic gestures, quite frankly, of the type that we see today.
And briefly, if you can, Dr. Tarpley, don't such policies just come off as just being bad policy, considering they do increase crude prices throughout the world, as we've seen in the past?
I certainly agree. Economic warfare is a blind alley. Economic warfare hurts the aggressor as well as the victim, and it simply belongs to a period of international relations which we should relegate to the garbage can of history. But don't look for the United States House of Representatives to take the lead in that. They're always going to be the last ones to understand this. So I think this is a deplorable episode. It's an embarrassment for Americans that the Congress does these things.
All right, we'll leave it there for now, but of course we do sincerely appreciate your insight. That was Webster Tarpley speaking to us live from Washington.